Welcome to Micromed Education students. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss how to understand a case-based questions which was asked routinely in the university exam. So basically, in today's lecture, first of all, we'll understand how to reach to a provisional diagnosis and it belongs to which system. Followed by, we will also discuss certain case-based examples. So this will be clear to you how to crack individual case. Now understand student, what is the problem frequently you face during your examination, that you are not able to understand it is belongs to which system and what is the provisional diagnosis. When you don't know the provisional diagnosis, it is very difficult for you to answer the rest of the question, because the rest of the question would be based on the etiological agent. What is the pathogenesis related with this etiological agent, laboratory diagnosis or prevention measures and vaccines. So let's start. So here understand, when there is a high grade of fever with the history of a mosquito bite, if it is with chills and rigor and there is a periodicity of the fever, then it is suggestive of malaria. But if there is an intense headache is there with retroorbital pain and rash with a patient's in the clinical history that is mention of thrombocytopenia, then it is a case of a dengue fever. High grade fever with the history of mosquito bite and joint pain is suggestive of chikungunya. Fever with the respiratory tract symptoms like high grade fever with productive cough, dyspnea, and X-ray shows ground glass appearance. When the history is in the days like 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, cough with the expectoration, all this still there, it is suggestive of bronchopneumonia or lobar pneumonia. But if patient has low grade of fever with evening rise, anorexia, weight loss, with night sweats, cough with or without expectoration for more than 3 weeks, it is suggestive of pulmonary tuberculosis. In extrapulmonary tuberculosis, the symptoms belongs to the extrapulmonary sites, but the consistent symptoms would be a low grade evening rise of fever, anorexia, weight loss and night sweats. The third one is the age, that is around 5 to 7-year-old child with pain in the throat, difficulty in the swelling, and there is a tonsillar patch which bleeds on touch, and no history of immunization or a partial immunization, and this is a case of diphtheria because there is a pain in the throat. Diphtherial pharyngitis is there with the membrane which bleeds on touch. Regarding severe symptoms, so fever with fatigue, night sweat, chest pain while breathing, anorexia, weight loss, painful red raised lesion on the hands and fingers with murmur, and especially the most important point is vegetation on valve, it is suggestive of infective endocarditis. However, swollen joints, migratory joint pain, history of sore throat and throat culture showed growth of Streptococcus pyogenes with high CRP and ESR is suggestive of rheumatic heart disease. Majority of time, students get confused whether it is infective endocarditis or rheumatic heart disease. Understand, it is easy to identify. If in your case history you find a vegetation on the valve with Genovese spots, Osler's nodules, all this would be there, then it is a infective endocarditis. But migratory joint pain with swollen joints, it is of rheumatic heart disease. Hope till now you are able to understand. Let's proceed with another fever that is high grade with headache, vomiting, seizure, neck rigidity or altered mental status, that is suggestive of meningitis or encephalitis. Understand, in case of encephalitis there is an altered mental status. But a patient presenting with fever that is moderate to low grade, increased frequency of urine with burning, micturition, urgency or suprapubic tenderness and costovertebral pain or tenderness, it is suggestive of UTI. Even your HAI case, COTI can also be presenting with the similar symptoms, but understand when there is a catheter presence, the urgency frequency is the symptoms as such due to catheter and not due to UTI. So the NHSN criteria we will going to discuss later into this lecture, but these are the symptoms of urinary tract infection. Then fever with bacteremia. So if the patient has a high grade fever with step-ladder pyrexia, with anorexia, abdominal pain, also mentioned coated tongue and relative bradycardia, this is a case of enteric fever, which is very important topic of second MBBS. And remember BASU as a laboratory diagnosis for enteric fever. B stands for blood culture in the first week. A stands for antibody detection for second week, that is your Vidal test or typhoid. 3 stands S stands for stool culture in third week, and U stands for urine culture in the fourth week. And gold standard test for enteric fever is blood culture that has to be collected in automated or manual blood culture bottle. Remember this thing, these are frequently asked questions in theory as well as practical. Then 3 R's, that is rodent, rice field and rainfall. Area would be like Surat, myalgia, headache, abdominal pain, vomiting, meningitis, jaundice, hepatosplenomegaly with neutrophilia and thrombocytopenia and oligouria. These are suggestive of leptospirosis. 2 marks frequently asked question, that is 3 are associated with leptospirosis. These are rodent, rice field and rainfall. Then remittent fever in between febrile period, there is an afebrile period, that is called remittent fever. Animal handlers or its product, night sweats with arthralgia, hepatosplenomegaly, and the most important one is foul smelling perspiration. This is a case of brucellosis. Till now we have covered many cases, among which the most frequently asked is enteric fever. Even a leptospirosis can be asked as a short note. In sexually transmitted disease, understand there are different syndromes. So it can be urethritis, vaginitis or genito-ulcerative disease. So these 3 also students get very confused regarding that, but it is very easy to understand. Urethral discharge with history of multiple sexual partners and high risk group like truck driver, male having sex with males and prostitute. The syndrome is urethritis, that is gonococcal or non-gonococcal urethritis. But in case of vaginal discharge with itching and dysuria, and if it is mentioned thick curdy discharge with Graf stain showing gram positive budding yeast cell with pseudohyphae, it is suggestive of candidiasis. But if it is green and frothy and you feel a motile trophozoites that is present with a jerky motility, that is trichomoniasis. So this is vaginitis. Understand whether discharge is vaginal or urethral with the symptoms that you have to follow. The third one, that is genito-ulcerative disease, that is ulcer on genitalia with multiple sexual partner, high risk patients with inguinal lymphadenopathy, that could be discrete, non-tender or rubbery. So you have to, in provisional diagnosis, don't mention directly with the syphilis, mention genito-ulcerative disease. The second question will be the etiological agent of this condition. Then you have to mention various conditions like syphilis, LGV, chancroids and their etiological agents. And then you can ask for the laboratory diagnosis of a particular one like a syphilis or something else, or a treponemal and non-treponemal test for diagnosis of syphilis. Like that can be the question would be asked. In case of urethritis, the case would be like that, and later on will be asked, mention the etiological agents. So you will mention gonococcal and non-gonococcal and the laboratory diagnosis of that particular. So you have to cover both gonococcal as well as non-gonococcal. Hope you are able to understand. Let's understand the case of viral hepatitis. So here there is a multiple sexual partner which has a high risk, that is truck driver, MSN, prostitute, multiple blood transfusion like thalassemia patient, and patient is presented with yellowish discoloration of urine, skin and sclera, that is jaundice. So as the history is suggestive of transmission by sexual or blood transfusion, so it is HBV or HCV. But the second, that is hepatitis in children, young adult with fever, malaise, anorexia, nausea, vomiting, liver tenderness followed by jaundice, that is suggestive of HIV. Even HIV is more common in the pregnant woman and it is more fulminant. So this type of history can be also given to you. Understand, in this case you have to mention the provisional diagnosis as hepatitis, not jump directly with the viral hepatitis. Mention is the hepatitis and later on the etiological agent, mention the viral hepatitis. Even in the case of enteric fever, you don't have to mention it as typhoid fever. Always mention it as enteric fever, bracket typhoid and paratyphoid fever. So in the etiological agent, when you mention it is S typhi, S paratyphi, A, B and C. So it's easy to score at least 3 marks from the case-based questions. That is, one is the provisional diagnosis, 2 marks of the etiological agent. But you have to understand first it is which case. Now understand, there is another confusing point with the student, that is the diarrhea, dysentery and the third one is food poisoning. Let's discuss how to differentiate all these things. In the diarrhea, there is an increased frequency, like more than 10 per day with the vomiting, rice water stool, short history, with the history of mentioning of the leg cramps, signs of dehydration like increased thirst, dry skin, dry tongue, and wet mouth showing a darting motile bacilli. And there is a clustering of the cases. This is a case of cholera. But if the history is stool with blood and mucus with 5 to 6 times per day with the abdominal cramps and tenesmus, it is a history of dysentery. So in the dysentery, your etiological agent would be a bacillary and amoebic dysentery. So you have to understand which are the bacillary dysentery causative agents and you have to mention all this and the amoebic dysentery. Food poisoning. In food poisoning, basically you get the history of vomiting, diarrhea, history of ingestion of food. Even the food would be mentioned. What type of food would be there? With no fever, no blood and mucus in the stool. History suggestive of attending a party, ingestion of particular food, and there is a clustering of the cases. In this also sometimes there is a mention of the incubation period, like the history started, like patient has the clustering of the cases started after ingestion of the food within 6 hours. So it could be a Staph aureus, Bacillus cereus, Clostridium botulinum, just as is mentioned in this slide. Okay, hope you are understanding. Now the history of the traveler's diarrhea. So there would be history of diarrhea, traveling, and but there will be no history of mentioning of darting motility or rice watery stool, something that will be differentiate from the cholera. And these are the etiological agent of traveler's diarrhea. Now let's discuss with the HAI cases how you have to crack the HAI case. Understand for what are the eligibility criteria as per NHSN for any HAI. HAI means hospital acquired infection. So the infection that has to be occur after 2 days of the administration or after 48 hours. Generally for NHSN it is mentioned as 2 days. And if it is within 2 days, then it is considered as present at the time of admission, that is POA. So first of all, you have to check the HAI eligibility, that is the infection is after 2 days of admission. That would be mentioned in your history. Second is identify the primary risk exposure, whether it is a surgery is mentioned or patient is on the ventilation, central line is mentioned or urinary catheter is mentioned. because your HAI can be of SSI, catheter associated urinary tract infection, central line associated bloodstream infection, that is CLABSI, and ventilated associated event, that is your VAE. So this could be there. So based on that we have to decide. Understand the SSI. It can be superficial, incisional, deep incisional, or organ space. The duration should be within 30 days or 30 to 90 days for deep or organ space. Now, so in your history, there will be mention of the depth, that is whether it is skin subcutaneous tissue or the symptoms like purulent pus or discharge is there in particular site like skin subcutaneous tissue, in the deep tissue, or at the organ space. That can be positive with the culture with or surgeon's criteria are there. These would be mentioned. These are the cardinal symptoms that will be mentioned in your surgical site infection. Then comes ventilator associated event, that is VAE, that is VAC, IVAC and PVAP, or generally we also mention as ventilator associated pneumonia. So VAC is ventilator associated condition. Understand, VAP would be a sequential event. First there should be a VAC, then IVAC, then PVAC, that is PVAP, that is possible VAP. VAC is ventilator associated condition. So in this, the history would be saying that patient was first stable, later on there is increased oxygen demand. IVAC, so increased oxygen demand with fever, leukocytosis and starting of the new antibiotics. Then possible VAP, that is IVAC with microbiological culture evidence, that is positive ET or BAL and purulent secretion. So like this it would be there. CLABSI. In CLABSI you have to understand first of all everything is device. So 2 days, more than 2 calendar days, the device would be present, that is central line. LCBI would be there, that is laboratory confirmed bloodstream infection. And then the laboratory confirmed bloodstream infection should not be secondary to any primary site. Like a urinary tract infection is also there with the same organism. Should not be like that the source should be due to central line only. So in this, how your history would be there, like central line is present, a blood culture is positive with E. coli, Klebsiella, something like pathogens from more than equal to 1 bottle, or a skin commensal like cones in more than equal to 2 bottles with the clinical signs like fever or hypotension or something like that are positive. And even for CRBSI there will be mention of different time to positivity, that is central line blood culture will flag 2 hours prior to the peripheral line with the similar organism. Now in COTY there will be, see, you do not need to understand SUTI, SUTI 1B, 1, 2. You just understand COTY. So in COTY, so it is SUTI 1A. That means more than 2 days of catheter test is present, less than equal to 2 organism, that is significant count. What do you mean by significant count? That is 10 to the power 5 CFU per ml of organism. That is any one organism, more less than equal to 2 organism with fever, suprapubic tenderness or costovertebral angle tenderness is there. In this, frequency dysuria is not considered. That thing you have to remember. This is considered under non-catheter SUTI. Okay. You have to understand fever, suprapubic tenderness and costovertebral angle tenderness. So how you can differentiate? In this, it's already mentioned. For SSI, the time duration 30 to 90. For rest of the day, it's more than equal to 2 calendar days. Site, surgical wound. VAP, it is lung. CLABSI, it is blood culture, is when we mentioned. And COTY, the urinary symptom with the urine culture would be mentioned. For VAP, it is ET or BAL will be given. Let's now understand some of the case-based discussion. So in this, you understand there is a history of high-grade fever, abdominal discomfort, malaise, 4 days, strep ladder pyrexia, coated tongue, typhoid. This is a case of enteric fever. So you will mention enteric fever and all the investigation BASU should be remembered. Then the second case, 1-month-old baby came to the hospital with complaint of painful large swelling. The mother of this lady that with the right breast pus like discharge. On examination, skin was red with the swelling. Pus is aspirated and in the gram stain shows gram positive cocci among the pus cells with blood agar shows golden yellow beta hemolytic column. Now this is the provisional diagnosis is breast abscess because large swelling in the right breast with the localized is suggestive of abscess. You can get anywhere the abscess in your different case based discussion. One case based, if it is a neck abscess with without mentioning that it is a cold and non-tender, then it is a tuberculous lymphadenitis cold abscess. But in this case, it is abscess. The most common etiological agent of the abscess is Staph aureus. Now, student, most of the time you mix with the Staph aureus and Streptococcus pyogenes case. How to remember and differentiate? The Staph aureus, a localized abscess, large swelling, localized. Streptococcus, diffuse swelling, cellulitis-like features. Staph aureus, gram positive cocci in cluster. And blood agar shows golden yellow colonies, GPC in cluster, Staph aureus with abscess. In case of cellulitis, diffuse swelling, red tender, pain out of proportionate to the swelling with GPC in chain, even that also gives beta hemolytic colony, but that would be Streptococcus pyogenes. Then a case of diarrhea with mucus, colicky pain and stool microscopy revealed pus cell, many blood RBC and trophozoite with pseudopodia and quadrinucleate cyst. This is a case of amoebiasis, intestinal amoebiasis, and Entamoeba histolytica is the organism. Now another case, patient is with rheumatic heart disease with chills, myalgia, subinguinal hemorrhage and vegetation. So now we know that it is a case of infective endocarditis. Painful ulcerative lesion in the truck driver. So ulcerative lesion means genito-ulcerative disease. So here you can directly pinpoint it out because it is painless ulcerative lesion. You can mention in a clinical diagnosis that is, but the serological test, the RPR picture is mentioned. So you can directly mention here is syphilis. 60-year diabetic patient with hernia repair after 7 days with wound adhesion, purulent discharge and tenderness. So this is a case of surgical site infections. Okay, and in the superficial it is mentioning then a case of 45-year-old ICU patient on ventilator after 8 days. Develop fever, purulent secretion, new infiltrate. So this is also ventilator associated event. Dekho. The patient has 8 days on ventilation. The history should be more in depth for mentioning of the, for undergraduate students it is enough to mention it is a VAE. But for postgraduate, we will provide an in-depth history with whether it is VAC, IVAC, PVAC. The third case, that is a central venous catheter is present and patient develops fever after 72 hours, paired blood culture which shows 2 hours, central line shows 2 hours prior to the peripheral with MDR Klebsiella pneumoniae. So central line is there, so it looks like a case of Klebsiella. But it goes or not? Yes. Catheter criteria are mentioned. LCBI criteria are mentioned. So this is a case of Klebsiella. Catheterized patient develop fever, cloudy urine after 4 days and urine culture shows significant growth. So catheter criteria, yes, 4 days. So after 2 days, patient has fever, yes, with significant culture. So this is a case of catheter associated urinary tract infection. Patient develops abdominal pain and fever 10 days after bowel surgery. Imaging shows intra-abdominal abscess. This is an organ space SSI. 25-year-old male with history of multiple sex partner with unexplained fever, progressive weight loss, persistent diarrhea, and generalized lymphadenopathy for past 6 months. Understand, this is a case of HIV. When within 6 months you feel persistent diarrhea, generalized lymphadenopathy, and progressive weight loss or significant weight loss in a high risk patient with unexplained fever, it is always HIV. You need to learn HIV in depth because definitely you will get question of malaria, tuberculosis, HIV, enteric fever 100% in your exam. Now the another case is patient or 9 weeks old baby with weakness in her right leg on examination, leg is flaccid with no depth tendon reflex, etc. is given. Here you have to understand that patient is vaccinated and fecal sample was collected and sent for referral lab. It was positive was poliovirus and of poliovirus type 1 strain. So it is a vaccine associated poliomyelitis is the case. Now, as we already discussed with the Staph aureus case, this here a severe pain in lateral aspect of left calf with the area is red, warm, tender, suggestive of cellulitis, and Gram-Strain shows GPC chain. So this is a case of basically a cellulitis with Streptococcus pyogenes. Understand student? Differentiate आना चाहिए. Let's have some immunological case. So this is a 22-year-old female with a history of allergic rhinitis. There was difficulty in breathing, generalized itching, urticaria, swelling of lips and hypoderm within 10 minutes of receiving intramuscular injection of penicillin. She is immediately treated with an IM adrenaline and improves. So this is a type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. And another case is 40-year-old with leukemia undergoes allogeneic hematopoietic stem cell transplantation with HLMA sibling. 3 weeks later, he developed high-grade fever, diffuse erythematous skin red, involving palms and soles, persistent diarrhea, jaundice, abnormal liver function test. This is a GVHD. So you have to understand certain immunological case, HAI, outbreak, even AMSP cases can be also there. So this we have here tried to cover maximum number of the cases. In AMSP case, the Staph aureus would be mentioned as MRSA. You have to understand MRSA is resistant to which particular antibiotics or beta-lactam, something like that you have to focus. Hope you like today's case-based discussion. Please provide some comments and like our videos and stay tuned with Micromat ED because we have recently started a rapid revision series. Frequently asked questions and the topics within 10-minute discussion, especially for university exams. Please stay tuned with that because this series has already started uploading.